welcome to The Jump. I'm Rich Bowers, and with me is Matthew Truelove. What's up, Matt? How you doing?
Hey, Rich, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me today. So, welcome to our pilot episode of The Jump. You may be familiar with Cognitive's other podcasts, Corporate Bites and Microbites, where we discuss in longer conversations specific technologies, let's say ChatGPT, or longer discussions such on product engineering or digital mindset. What we want to do is we've heard from various people, people in training, clients, whatever it may be, that say, hey, look, technology is moving so fast. Can you keep us up to date on what's being released maybe week over week or bi-weekly? And so we have The Jump. And in these conversations, I bring subject matter experts. Matt will actually be joining for most of them, where we discuss popular trends throughout the past weeks to keep you informed. Ready to get into it, Matt?
I'm ready, Rich. Let's do it.
Sweet. So one of the biggest highlights over the past week, two or so, is GitHub Copilot Chat functionality. I keep hearing a ton about it. How does it impact you? Have you had a chance to play around with it?
Yeah, so Copilot Chat, I have had the ability to work with, and what this allows you to do, and what you'll see with a lot of GitHub Copilot features coming out, is they're coming up with just new ways for the user, like myself, you and I, to interface with the model, right? With GitHub Copilot and the tools that it provides. And so the chat allows a form of natural language processing, right? Conversational interaction with Copilot, where you can do all sorts of things from code generation. You can review code that you have. You can ask questions like, hey, can you explain what this is doing to me? Which is really useful if you're doing collaborative coding and you got a teammate that doesn't want to write good comments or tell you what's going on too.
Sounds like
So
you've
it can
been
help
there.
you. No, of course
No.
not. Right. Yeah. So just another way to receive input and data from Copilot.
Cool. A feature that I was reading about too is there's a security feature suggestions is another piece, which is always good in this type of situation, right?
Absolutely. So that's one thing that actually GitHub themselves have had in the works for a little while, where if you have code on one of their repositories online, it'll give you alerts and notifications, be like, hey, there's a vulnerability here. There were some things with Java a couple years ago that you would get messages on. But now that you have Copilot, right, you can actually use it for code suggestions and fixes and even optimizations too. So when it's
Nice.
analyzing your code, especially when it comes related to security, it'll be like, hey, you know what? You might want to update this dependency, right? Or change the access to this particular method, so on and so forth.
Very cool. And all in natural language, which is just
Yeah,
amazing, right? Another thing, there's a waiting list for this one. I know some of us are still waiting for it, but the command line interface. What's so special about this? Again, another one that you keep hearing about it, and with the waiting list so long, how is this going to play a part with coders? I mean, I know you can avoid switching context, but what else is involved?
absolutely. So command line interface, CLI,
Hmm.
that's taking a step back. One of the fundamental ways for a user to interact with a platform. And when I say platform, that could be the host, it could be your computer, right? Your Windows laptop, Mac, Linux, even a cloud computing service like an EC2. Uh, and that's native, right? Every machine has a CLI, and then you can install libraries into your CLIs. Like AWS has a library for a CLI. Well, in this case, using Copilot CLI allows you to give Copilot access to your platform, to your
Cool.
computer, right? And you're like, well, wait a second, isn't that what it was doing before? Previously, it would look at like your code and syntax as you shared it to get suggestions. But now it can actually go into your file system, your folders, your directories, and look at the way you have your project structured. Maybe I'm doing things on cloud computing and I need to know some information on like the server engine I'm using or what IP addresses and port numbers I want to have open. That in theory gives Copilot that access. I say in theory because I don't have access to it yet. There is a waiting list.
Not yet. It's coming though. And so this is all about saving time and efficiency.
100%.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's jump to the next thing then, right? And kind of shifting gears. Something that a lot of us, maybe non-techies, have is the iPhone. Though I know you're one of the few team members on the technical team that does have one. Normally, a lot of Android, but the iPhone 15 just was released. Some updates. I've been hearing mixed reviews. Some people are saying, "Hey, the resolution's the same, the camera's not different." Other people are raving about other features. Where do you stand, and what excites you?
Absolutely. A little backstory, Rich. Once upon a time, I did have an Android, but friends and family got tired of me being the green bubble on the messaging. So I eventually switched over. I do have an iPhone 10 right now, so I'm definitely due for an upgrade and interested in the 15.
That's so.
But like you said, when any new product comes out, it's going to be mixed reviews sometimes. What's new? Some folks frankly don't know. So we can definitely dive into that. The
Yeah.
15's got the titanium, right? Probably the most obvious. Durable material, space, right? And a little bit more lightweight. Um, but beyond that, some of the hardware features, camera lensing, right? You'll notice they changed up the lenses on the 15 a little bit. Anytime you're taking a picture and you do a zoom, you have two ways to do that. You can actually do it with an optical zoom or a digital zoom. Optical zoom is an actual physical manipulation of the lenses to achieve the image and resolution that you want. That's more or less a true zoom. A digital zoom is kind of a facade of a zoom. It's not a true zoom. It's taking the image at the default focal length, and it's like when you pinch your fingers and you zoom in on that image, right? Sometimes it gets a
Mm-hmm.
little blurry. Well, there's
Yep.
AI behind that to give you the illusion that you're zooming in, right? But it's not actually a full zoom. It's a digital zoom. And so the 15 made improvements in both of those areas. The portrait mode, when you take a
Okay.
picture, now has 5 times zoom as well.
Really? Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So now, like when you see those pictures online where the videos just keep zooming into the little houses on the mountains and everything, there you go. You do it on your own. And then something I was excited about. I'm a little bit of a gamer at sometimes. Is the A17 Pro Trip. This thing looks crazy. Gaming console capabilities by far surpassing Android. It's basically a desktop grade chip. Are you going to be playing this? I know you and I have a little bit of Diablo to get into, but are you going to be joining in on this A17 Pro chip?
Oh, that's a good question. It depends on the marketplace, right? Who's putting
Mm-hmm.
games on there, and there's definitely increased availability for the developer community to take advantage of this processing on this chip. I definitely see it happening hand in hand with Apple's recent innovations in VR and augmented reality as well. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they have, in terms of gaming, more collaboration between your mobile device and the headsets that go along with it.
Very cool. And last question on this: are you upgrading from 10 to 15, or are you going to wait for 16?
I have it in the works, but I'm lower down on the totem pole in the family, right? We'll get some other
Yeah,
folks upgrade, and then maybe I can get on there.
understandable. Next topic. I thought this one would be cool for you, as you may have noticed in the 8.5 minutes we've been on. Matt has mentioned cloud or AWS a handful of times. He is certified in this area very heavily. Um, Microsoft, their PC cloud gaming. We all know they already have console cloud gaming available, right? But there's their PC talks for their cloud gaming. Wanted to get your thoughts on that. You think it has anything to do with them acquiring Blizzard and want to basically push that out a little bit more?
Yeah. We can start with that acquisition with Blizzard and maybe how it affects things. A little bit of speculation, but
Mm-hmm.
informed nonetheless. With Blizzard, they are the studio behind World of Warcraft, which has for decades now, right? I think it's plus or minus 20 years at this point.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
dominated the massively multiplayer online world, right? So it's just a big open world game that a lot of people can play together. Um, so very, very dependent on your network and internet connection, right? Since it was originally came about in about 2005 or so, I believe, and still very much around. So when you talk about cloud gaming, Rich, anytime you talk about cloud in general, that is allowing you to take maybe a lower grade computer. I don't necessarily have the best, Windows laptop or Mac well, in this case, we're talking about Windows, so let's keep it there,
Mhm.
or desktop. I don't have a great processor. I don't necessarily have an external GPU for graphics or anything like that. But if I have a good internet connection and my machine has good network capabilities, maybe that's all. It's not necessarily good in the other areas of performance.
Mhm.
Then what that allows me through the cloud is to connect into the internet on Microsoft servers, right, in their Azure suite, and then power my games using their hardware and devices. And so you're increasing gaming accessibility and hopefully profits then for Microsoft.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, it's going to be, and they're going to look to leverage Azure. It looks like their services. And by the way, it looks like this has been in the works for a while. One of the reasons why it's back in the news looks like a 2021 email was leaked where they were talking about how they want to move in this direction to compete with the now defunct Google Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pop on over to our tech or cool features or products of the week. We're going to be implementing this on all of our discussions. Talk about let's just say, technology that you should be aware of. And our topic this week is going to be Hugging Face. Hugging Face, obviously, all over the place within the past couple months. But if you haven't heard of it, that's why we have Matt here. So, Matt, tell us about Hugging Face.
Hugging Face, absolutely. So one, just warm and inviting name,
Mm.
but two, Hugging Face. It's in the same arena as you've got like Docker Hub for image repositories. You have GitHub for code repositories. Repositories, just online storage of information, right? Ideas. Uh, uh, and then with Hugging Face, this is a online repository of large data sets and models for machine learning and subsequently artificial intelligence.
Awesome. So, why should everybody be aware of this right now? I know these different models are all pre-trained, right? So you're going to save a
Mhm.
lot of time, a lot of work, whatever it may be. But why should the everyday user be aware of this?
Absolutely. So with Hugging Face, there's over 150,000 data sets and models available, open source to use. I and what this allows the AI community to do is they need these models, or if you're trying to train a model, they also have these large data sets, massive data sets that no individual can necessarily compile on their own unless you're a mega corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it gives accessibility to the AI developing community, right? To train their own models or to take those pre-trained models on Hugging Face and apply them into their AI agents.
Excellent, excellent. So something we'll keep hearing more and more about as this AI wave just keeps continuing. So, Matt, that is the first episode of our jump, of the jump, and gonna have you back next week, 2 weeks. I'll see you then. But I appreciate your time, and for the jump, I'm Rich Bowers. Take care, everybody. See you, man.
Thank you.